Hi guys, I'm Ivory. So today I'm going to be unboxing and doing a full review on the Midas Cosmetics and Smokey Glow collaboration. A huge congratulations to her. I know this is a very big milestone for her. I remember watching her when she was at like 10,000 subscribers and it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. So she really has blown up in just a very short amount of time. So I feel really proud and happy to watch each milestone as she goes through them. And I'm just really excited about what's in store for her next. So like I said, I'm going to be unboxing everything and I'll be going over prices. I played with all of the products at this point, and as far as the eyeshadow palette, I have done 4 looks with it. They were all on different days, but I will insert clips, so it's going to be a little bit tutorial-esque. Because I've done multiple looks with this palette, I feel like I can give a pretty good, accurate review of what's good and bad about the palette. But before we get into all of that, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post new videos every single week, and also be sure to follow me on my social media. Everything is _ivorypcherry. So this is the PR kit. You can buy this individually, even if you are not an affiliate of Midas Cosmetics. And this is a glittery pink, and this is not scratchy. It's completely smooth. And then on the back it says Midas Cosmetics, Smokey Glow. I get really confused on how I'm supposed to incorporate this X. I was a math major, so to me, X means times, but some people are like, no, that's wrong. It's and Smokey Glow. It could also be with Smokey Glow, in collaboration with Smokey Glow. I don't know. There's so many ways to interpret it that at this point, I just avoid saying it altogether. So I kind of just bypass it completely and say Midas Cosmetics and Smokey Glow collaboration. Hopefully you're cool with that. If not, I mean, it's a really weird hill to die on, but okay. And if you're interested in buying the entire PR kit, it is $75. I do want to disclaim that I am an affiliate of Midas Cosmetics and I was sent this PR, but I assure you all the opinions are my own. Midas Cosmetics does not give me any script of what I can and cannot talk about. It's completely free reign, but I just wanted to be upfront that I did receive this and I did not purchase this. Inside the box, when you open it up, it is this beautiful rose gold. You can barely see it, but it says a message from Hannah. And as you can see, she left me a very long, wonderful message. I have clearly touched her life in many ways. I actually did receive a letter from her. It was actually on a card and it says my name with a heart. But I did in fact receive a personal message, which I thought was really sweet. And then on to the actual meat. Over here we have the lip gloss trio. Obviously I did my makeup already, so I had to repackage everything. I can't find the bubble wrap for this, but I was pretty sure that this was bubble wrapped. The trio itself will cost $25, but if you want to buy them individually, that is an option and they will be $9 a piece. Over here is the highlighter and this is $21. And over here is the eyeshadow palette and that retails for $36. All of the products can be bought individually, including the lip glosses. I think I already said that. So you don't have to buy this entire box. You can buy individually. So this is the lip trio. You can see the packaging is similar to the outside carton. It's this, how would you describe it? It's like a gray purple, a mauve. Is this mauve? I don't always know when something is mauve. I feel like I know it when I see it, but I don't know how to describe it. This to me looks mauve. Or maybe it's a taupe. The more I look at it, it's like a gray purpley brown. All right, we're gonna move on. It's not even relevant to the video. And the shades are, hi friends. I have to say it the way she says it. Sparkle On and Never Dull. And then next off, you have the highlighter duo. Again, it's the same similar packaging. And then when you open it, it does have this plastic right on top and then a little mirror. And then you have a pink toned highlighter as well as a gold champagne colored one. And the names are Slay and Yas. I really hate saying slang. I feel like I sound out of rhythm, I guess. Like I don't punch it the way other people would punch it. And then lastly is the eyeshadow. This is the color story. As you can see, I dipped into it because I've done 4 looks. It does have a mirror and it does have a plastic protector. All right, so on to the actual looks. I did do 4. So the first look is a very bright pink smoky eye. I definitely wanted to have fun with that one. And then on the center of my lid, I also do have pink shimmer going on. The second look is kind of what I would consider colorful meets neutral. The background is definitely fun with the red, but then you have a very simple everyday gold on the lid. The third look is an all matte look and it's also very neutral, very wearable. Also in this look, I am wearing one of her glosses and we'll get more into that in a little bit. And then the fourth look is one that I'm wearing now. I don't even know how to describe this. There's definitely a cut crease going on, sharp edges. It's just fun. I just really wanted to experiment with as many colors and as many different looks as I could do so that no 2 looks look the same. And in this last look, I'm also wearing the highlighter as well as another gloss. Because I feel like this video might be long, given that this is unboxing, tutorial, review, I'm gonna go ahead and put timestamps in my description box below so that way you can skip around and find whatever you need to get out of this video. So without wasting any time, let's just get into each of the looks. So first off, with each look, I did go ahead and use an eyeshadow primer. The first look that I did, I used the NYX white eyeshadow primer, and then for the rest of the looks, I used the Gerard Cosmetics Clean Canvas Eye Base. This is in the color Medium 1. So with the fluffy brush, I went in with the color Colleague. That was the color my eye immediately went towards when I first opened the palette. The color payoff is really great. I would say that it stays pretty true to the color in the pan. The thing is, with a color like this, not just in this palette, but just in general. When you have a color that is this vibrant, the more you blend it, you do lose a little bit of that vibrancy, that neonness that you see in the pan. So if you're looking for it to stay that color, you're gonna wanna pat it down and move it as little as possible. You can see as I blend, the outer edges of the color are a little bit duller, whereas the parts that I just place down and I don't touch, they stay very bright. And then with an E25 brush, I went into the shade Warrior and I packed that on the lower part of my lid below my crease. After that, with my finger, I went in with the shade Hello and I packed that right on top of Warrior. And then on top of that, I used the shade Nutty and I put that in the center of my lid, but then I ended up really loving that color so much that I basically ended up covering Hello, just because I felt like that shade had a much better contrast with the matte shades that I use, and I just really love the shift in it. It looks like fairy dust to me. Something about that shade just looks very ethereal to me. So originally I only planned to add a little bit into the center, but as soon as I saw how it looked on my lid, I quickly changed course and I have no regrets. I took the same matte shades Colleague and Warrior and I just mirrored that on my lower lash line, but I did want to have a little bit of a pop on a waterline. So what I did was I added a white liner. The one I used is from Rimmel. It's the Soft Kohl eyeliner pencil. And then on top of that, with a liner brush, I used the shade Jump Cut and I placed that right on top of the white liner. So that is just a little tip for you in general. If you want a fun waterline, don't be buying a bunch of colored eyeliners. As long as you have a white base, you can use any eyeshadow and then you put it on top and it will stay. So for look number 2, I went in with a fluffy brush using the shade Rose, and that is my transition shade. And let me tell you, a little bit of this color goes a very long way. After that, I went in with the shade Amazing and I applied that basically everywhere Rose was, but just a little bit lower. That way you can still see Rose in the background. After that, with some concealer, I did cut my crease, and then where I cut my crease with the concealer, I put a rant on top of that. And then on the outer corner to smoke it up, I went in with the shade Half Pony. This is where things started to go south. I was packing on the shade Half Pony and I was getting patchy issues. It just didn't want to stick to my lid. I didn't know what was going on, especially since I did one eye off of camera and it seemed to go fine on that eye. But of course, when I hit record and I show you what I'm doing, all of a sudden it didn't want to work with me. I don't know what was happening, but as much as I was trying to pack it, it didn't want to stick. I tried switching out to a different brush, no go. So what I ended up doing is going into the shade Dofa, which is a little bit darker and it is a shimmer, and I used that as a replacement and that seemed to work. And then I had to mirror the other eye because, you know, they gotta match. And by adding Dofa instead, it seemed like crisis was averted, but I did make a mental note to use Half Pony again to see if I would have that issue. But that was the last step that I did on the top of my lid. And then for my lower lash line, all I did was really smoke out the color Rose. And I think that's pretty much it. I might have tight lined with the shade Amazing. I'm not really sure because I did it like 2 weeks ago, but that's all I did to create look number 2. Whenever I have a colorful background and then either a gold or white or silver shimmer on the lid, I like to think of it as party in the back and then business in the front. So that's how I interpret that look. So for look number 3, I did an all matte look and I wanted to make it very wearable because I do feel like the other two really emphasis on color. So first, with a fluffy brush, I went in with the shade Vote and I basically applied that all over. I tried to avoid the lid area as much as possible because I knew I was going in with a different color. But of course, you know, as you're blending, you can't really control that the powder ends up on the lid anyways, but I tried to avoid it as much as I can. And then after that, on the outer corner, I went in with Half Pony again. Like I said, in the second look, I had patchy issues, so I wanted to see what would happen this time, and I didn't have any issues, so it just was kind of a bad day. That happens. There are looks that I do over and over again, but the minute I hit record to do a tutorial on it, or a day where I really needed to cooperate because I'm in a rush, all of a sudden it's like, no. I'm just like, cool. So that's really the only way I can explain it because I used the shade again and I did the exact same thing that I did last time and it worked perfectly this time. After that, I used the shade Basic on my lid and I really liked how white it is. Probably one of the better whites that I've seen in a palette. However, I noticed that after I added that shade and then I did my base, I went back and I noticed that the white was gone. It was completely faded and it seemed like all the work that I spent packing it was almost gone. And I realized that the issue was when I put the white on, it didn't have a sticky base. Like I was saying, when I added the transition shade, I tried to avoid that lid area. Powder did get there, so it made it not tacky. Therefore, that white color didn't want to stick to my lid. So what I ended up having to do is recut the crease and I made sure that the base was sticky and then I reapplied the white and from then on it stayed. So I did want to give that little tidbit. If you were planning on using the white that way, you will have to use a concealer or an eyeshadow primer first before laying down that white so that it will stick and it will stay longer. And then in this look is when I actually played with the glosses. So in the third look, I used the shade Hi Friends. Before we even go into the actual formula, formula, I just want to say that these are by far the best smelling lip glosses that I have tried to date. They smell like watermelon Jolly Ranchers. It smells so delicious. And I would say out of all the shades, I like this one the best. I like when my glosses basically look like a liquid lipstick with a clear gloss on top of it. I don't really like shimmer. It's just not my taste. I'm not saying it's not pretty. That's a different question. I'm just saying for me, personal preference wise, I just like when they are a flat color. This is the only one that is a flat color of the bunch. I wanted to see how opaque this was on its own. So only on my bottom lip, I put a red liquid lipstick, and then on the top, I kept it bare. It is very opaque on its own. For this shade specifically, it's called Hi Friends. You won't really need a base underneath. It does definitely enhance it, and it does look better with a base underneath, but I'm just saying if you want a gloss that is pretty opaque, this is a really good one. And what I really like about these type of glosses is even if you don't have a base underneath, when the lip gloss wears off, there's still a really nice tint to your lips. But that is the third look, all complete, super simple, and with a nice pop of color on the lips. And then the fourth look is the one I am wearing now. First, before anything, I did go ahead and use shadow shields. You could also use tape. I actually have tape right to the side of me, but I chose to use shadow shields instead. And I placed that on the side of my eye. That way when I remove it, there's that nice crisp line. And then with a small taper brush, I went in with the shade Content, and I applied that all over, avoiding my lid area because I knew I was going to go in with a shimmer shade. And I also kept that shade lower than I normally would, just because I knew I was going to use another shade to blend above it. You'll know what I mean in a second. And then with a Morphe M506 brush, I went into the shade Jump Cut, and I blended the outer edges of the shade Content. So that way it gradually goes from that purple to that orangey coral shade. I thought those colors paired really well together. And then I went ahead and cut my crease. I know I cut my crease a lot in my looks, but it's my face, so let me cut my crease. And then after I cut the crease, I went in with the shade Leno. I think this color is so pretty. I see like little specks of blue. The one thing I did notice about this color is it's a little bit sheer. So I had to build it quite a bit to get it to be true to the color in the pan. And even then, I don't feel like this totally is. I think the issue though was that the concealer wasn't very bright. Therefore, this doesn't really pop. So I think if I could go back, I would either put the shade Basic down first. It was that matte white. Or you could just go in with a white concealer. I think doing those steps would save you a little bit more time than what I did. And then I didn't put the color Leno completely on my lid. I left a little bit of a space, and in between the shade Leno and the shade Content, which is my transition shade, I did go ahead and add the color Jump Cut again, because why not? And in this look, I did play around with the highlighters. I used both of them. So on my nose and my cheeks, I used the color Yes. I think it's a really nice shade for me. A little bit goes a very long way. Okay, I barely tapped into it and it was very bright. You guys know I'm pretty subtle when it comes to highlighter. I've just never been completely on the highlighter bandwagon. I ended up toning it down a little bit for my own personal taste. But initially when I was applying it, I was very impressed with the formula. And then with the pink highlighter, I actually added that into my inner corner because everything is pretty pink already and it's super bright. I love it, and I think it ties the look together really nicely. I did want to go ahead and show what the other two lip glosses look like on me. So what I did was I added a matte liquid lipstick as my base, and then on the lower lip I used the shade Never Dull, and then on the top lip I used the shade Sparkle On, just so that you could see how they look side by side. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of glitter or sparkly lip glosses, so personally I am not a fan of the shade Sparkle On. It has a lot more glitter to it than Never Dull. Despite Never Dull having some glitter in it as well, I actually really like the way this look. I would continue using this. It has a good amount of shimmer to it where it's like not annoying to me and the glitter isn't overpowering the lip. And I also want to note that even though Sparkle On does have a lot of glitter to it, on the lips it does not feel gritty whatsoever. And the formula themselves, they're a little bit thick. They're not like super thick, like goopy. I think they're the right amount of thickness. It's not like water thin, but it's not overly thick where you're gonna get that ring of lip gloss in the center of your lips. I hate that. And that completes all the looks. So let's go over the good and the bad of this collection. I kind of just went over the glosses, so I don't think there's too much more to add, but my favorite one is this one. This one has no shimmer to it, and I love bright colors like this. You don't need liquid lipstick or a base underneath. It does look better with it, but it's not necessary. This one, like I said, even though there's a little bit of shimmer to it, it is very wearable. And the middle one, Sparkle On, still pretty, just not my vibe, but it still feels really comfortable on the lips. So all of these to me get a thumbs up. The highlighter duo, I really like this color on me. I think it's nice and smooth. A little bit goes a long way, so it's gonna take you a minute to hit pan. As far as the pink shade, I really like it in my inner corner. I personally don't use pink highlighters. Do I ever use pink highlighters? Not really, but I do think it's a nice variety for those who do like pink highlighters, and I do like that it's different from, say, a different shade of gold. But to me, the formula is good, so again, this gets a thumbs up. And then lastly, of course, is the eyeshadow palette. I think overall the palette was pretty good. As I explained, I did come into some issues, and there were other things I would do differently, but I think it's more of a me issue than the eyeshadows having an issue. From the 4 looks that I've done, I used 14 out of the 18 shades, and then for the most part, other than half pony and basic, I didn't really have any issues. And even then, I found really quick and easy solutions to make these 2 shades work. I feel like the color story is a pretty good mix of wearable and fun shades. The one con, and I don't know if this is really a con, but to some people it may be a con, fun colors are kind of in the same family, so they're always going to be kind of like pinkish or reddish or purple, which are they all kind of blend together. As far as comparing them to other eyeshadow palettes that I've tried, I think this white is probably one of the better whites that I've tried. As far as the other shades, they are good. They're probably on par with my other good palettes, but I don't think that this formula exceeds that. And as far as comparing them to other eyeshadow palettes from Midas Cosmetics, I think these actually might be better. I felt like, especially for a lot of the mattes that I use for transition colors, they blended super easily and I barely had to dip into it. The one con though I will say is, because some of the colors are super bright, like say this one, the first look that I did when I wiped it off, it did leave a little bit of a stain, so just be wary of that. But other than that, I really didn't have any issues with this palette other than the ones that you saw. So if you like this color story, I think you're going to be impressed with the formula. But that is it for this review. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and feel free to comment down below what videos you'd like to see from me next. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.